Well, good afternoon, everybody. Ron Wheeler here, and I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar, How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. It's going to be a great webinar, so I'm excited that you're here and excited that you're here a little bit early. In fact, I did open up the room a little bit early just because I always like to make sure that everything is working, and if there's any issues with audio or anything like that, I can always fix it before the official session starts. So do me a favor. If you can hear my voice, and more importantly, if you can see the screen that says on air, just give me a quick shout out in the chat window. That way I know that everything is looking pretty good. In fact, I had an issue yesterday where audio wasn't coming in through YouTube. So hopefully those out there in YouTube world can hear me as well. But looks like everything is operational on my side. That's good. All right. There, now we go. We got Rob, Janice, Steve, Boyce. Good to have all of you with us. Clayton as well. I'm seeing the names kind of flop in now, so it's harder to keep up with them. Steve. All right, cool. So it looks like everything looks like it's working good. That's why I like it. That way I can be, I don't know, confident that we're going to have a good presentation today. All right. So let me ask you, by the way, this is a good time. If you don't know where that chat box is, find it, because we are going to be interacting a little bit today throughout the webinar. You're going to be asking questions. I'm going to be asking questions of you. So it's a good time to find that, just to kind of make sure that we all know how to communicate back and forth. And then also, I'm just kind of curious, what time is it by you? This is a live webinar. It's 4:27 here in Ohio, and I'm obviously in Ohio, so Eastern time zone. Just kind of wondering where you guys are in the world. Kind of curious to see who's the farthest away. We always get some folks in Europe, sometimes in Australia. Although I think for those of you, if anybody's in Australia, you guys should be sleeping right now. I know it's already evening out there in Europe, so I'm thinking more East Coast, West Coast. Josh, you said you're in Ohio too. Oh, right down the street. In fact, I'm pretty close to you. Chattanooga, you're also in Eastern. New York City, Clayton. It's the same time as me, but I don't know. New York time is different. Linda, our 2:27. See, you're a couple hours behind me. 4:30 in and I'm sorry, Toronto, east of Toronto, Maryland. So a lot of folks here on the East Coast, but I see some folks in the Midwest, or the mid section of the country too. Ed, and I see from Chicago, Eastern. Cool. So not too bad. All right. Awesome. And then also, just kind of curious, what do you do? Are you retired? You still working? Now, when I originally created the options paycheck model, it was really something just to generate income. It's a high probability, low monetary risk profile that I kind of created for really somebody that's retired that wants to do a little bit of trading, but nothing where they're going to do it full time. But over the years, I've learned that I've got people trading the system that were as young as 14 years old and as old as 95. It's been really such an interesting broad spectrum of people that have come to this for these options training lectures. It's kind of cool. Boyce, retired law enforcement. Awesome. Diamond driller. Interesting. Retired Steve, Linda, Charles, Jim, Ed. And then Josh, just like right by you, Akron, Fairlawn, Medina area. So we're kind of in the same area. Cool. So, well, let's do this. It is almost just ticked 4:30. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and get started. And let's go ahead and begin. And I want to again welcome you to How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. I'm excited that you're here because this webinar is going to teach you my bread and butter trade. It's one that I've used for really the last 15 years to help me generate additional income. And it's something I do personally, as I said, but I also do this in a weekly coaching series with clients every week. And today I'm just going to show you how you can turn really as little as 15 minutes a day. That's the thing is, this is a very passive approach to investing. I'll give you guys my history in a couple slides, but I don't want to spend all day in front of my computers anymore. I've been trading for a long time. So this was me starting to kind of wean myself off of the trading screens, finally. So remember, the session is live, so please interact with me in the chat. We already been doing that. I've also got some of my colleagues with me today. They can answer questions. And then at the end, we'll also do a Q&A if you have any questions left over. So in this webinar, you're going to see how you could begin making a paycheck averaging about 3% per month or more. Now, you could do it regardless of market direction, bullish or bearish, doesn't matter. You can do it if you have little to no prior experience with options. This is safer than buying stocks and selling stocks because we have limited risk. The beauty of this is we control our risk very aggressively, and it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, you might be thinking it's too good to be true, so you're thinking, is this legit, right? You want some proof. Well, I would too, because listen, I understand we live in the internet age of influencers and their rental Lamborghinis and Airbnbs that they rent to show. I'm not like that, okay? We like to let the real results of my weekly coaching kind of stand for themselves. So throughout this year, I trade 100,000 in capital with my clients, okay, and show them trades every week. And so far, we're up about 21% for the year. Now, my goal is to make 3% per month. I'm a little bit behind that for right now, but I still have 3 more months to kind of work it out. And October is looking decent. November, December, we'll have to see how it goes. My win rate's a little bit lower than I would like it to be this year because we had some volatility. But still, for that, I'm up about 21%. Now, the thing is, listen, if you have 100,000, great, you can reproduce that. You can even do a lot better if you want to, like you're going to see here in a couple minutes. If you have 10,000, you can still do it. You're just going to be doing it at a much lower scale. Okay. Now, one of my recent students sent me this email and said, Ron, want to send you a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method tracking my performance. Thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only 5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement. Now, I love hearing that because, listen, I've been trading a long time. I'm decent at it at this point. All right, I'm pretty good at it. But is my ability to show this to people is what I grade myself on. So when I get these emails of people that are successfully able to implement this and doing well, that to me is success. That's what designates this successful. Now, there's also a lesson in this. Carrie started with a $5,000 account. You can do that too. It adds up pretty darn quickly. If you took 5 grand and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you over $1 million. If you start with a little bit more, obviously, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some good money here. Now, if you have more than that to invest, well, you're going to get there much, much faster, of course. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you. We're going to talk about a few of them today, and these are real people just like you. As I teach you the system, I share their stories. I want you to pay close attention because you might find you're in a similar position now as they were when they started. My name again, Ron Wheeler. I'm the option income coach here at VectorVest, and I've been trading now for 28 years. I got my start back in 1997, and I had an advantage when I first started trading. I actually worked for a company that created trading software. So I learned from some of the best traders in the country. And even with that tutelage, I still struggled like a lot of traders do in my first couple of years. Okay. I struggled. Now, I ultimately was a commodities trader. I day traded things like the S&P futures, gold, crude oil. I traded the DAX index for a while. I traded the euro. So I did a lot of commodity futures, and I was a day trader. And I did that for probably about 10, 12 years. All right. Probably even 15 years. I really started tailing off of that about 10 years ago. But one of the big things I learned as a new trader was, ironically, be careful of options. I was not an options fan at all. What I knew about options was that you could be right on the trade. Like if you think something's going up and you do an options trade, you could lose money. I didn't like that. It was hard enough to pick a direction and manage risk without options, and I didn't need them in my life. Well, something changed. As I was into my trading career, probably 7 or 8 years, I don't remember the exact dates anymore, it's been a long time, but one of our clients actually visited our office here in Akron, Ohio. And he was an institutional hedge fund trader who specialized in options. And he came in and he showed me what he did using the analysis that we taught with options. And I was blown away. He showed me how he can create trading scenarios where even if he wasn't right on market direction, he could still profit, and how he can control his risk perfectly using options, something I had never known you could do before. So it really opened my eyes. That turned me on to options. Now, again, I was doing day trading and I was very successful at it at that point. So I didn't like just shut everything down and do options, but I started dabbling more and more in options. And I got to a point a couple of years later where I was like, you know what? I've been in front of these screens for 10 years, 8 hours a day. I want to start going to something a little bit more passive. And that really opened the door for me for options trading. The thing that options trading provides you that I was told and taught was that, you don't have to be right to make money. You can be only a little bit right. You can be a little bit wrong and still make money. And the risk control is unlike any other trade that you can do. And think of the pressure that takes off you. So that really ignited my fire for options. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the system I use to help me generate those returns, case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. I'm going to show you the system. That way, if you learn and follow the strategy, you can do the same. And stay with me to the end because there's a lot of information in today's webinar, so it's going to benefit you to stay to the end. If you do stay, I put together a little checklist we'll upload into our handout section. It's just something to get you started with, giving you some of the key principles we talked about today. So let me know after about an hour when we get to the Q&A because I often forget. Also, as you guys know, I love to interact during the webinar, whether it's with me, whether it's with my colleagues here. By all means, if you have questions, let us know. We're going to have a Q&A at the end and wrap up any questions that we haven't answered. But by all means, please ask away. Now, keep in mind, there's only so much we can cover in about an hour. So after that hour, I'm going to show you some steps if you're interested to kind of implement this in your portfolio by working with me. Okay, so if you're good with that and you're ready to go, just do me a favor and type a yes in the chat box. That way I know that everybody's still paying attention and we're all still good to go. All right, good deal. Steve and Clayton and Charles, John, Linda, Doreen. Huh, that is funny. That is a small world, Josh. I drive by your office every day. All right, so why is this so important? It's important because without an income system, financial stress is your constant companion, and that creates a number of problems for us. You may feel stuck working longer than planned, or you're stressed worrying about running out of money. You might be depleting your savings faster than you can fill it, especially with how prices have gone up over here in the last 5-6 years, right? If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You'll get behind on your goals and maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you're going to run out of money during retirement. But with an options paycheck system that helps you generate income, you can really break free of this. It's designed to help you generate income safely, consistently, and in less than 15 minutes a day. And I think this is one of the most important points of the webinar. So pay attention to this. Write it down. If you want to be financially free, you need to have income. Now, to be financially free, you have to learn to generate enough income from your investments that'll cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So I'll say that again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working like I am or you're retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income like you quit your job, but you still get that paycheck. It's like a tap you can turn on when you want it. That's going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can even help you retire younger. Now, as I said, I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'm going to say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free. For example, a client of ours, Brian, he said he needed to draw some income because he had some health problems and wanted to supplement his income. Now, by using the system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profits, starting with just $6,000. He actually had 100% winning trades in 10 months. That's ridiculous. 31 of 31 winners. Now, the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It's the result of following the system. The system is what helped get him to 100% winning trades and create that profit, 23,000 in 10 months. Now, to get there, you have to do kind of a mindset shift. You have to make a strategic shift inside your head, okay? You are going to have to make the shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller of options, okay? So we put that in the whole be the gambler or be the casino. We want to be the casino in this analogy because think about casinos, right? Number one, the house always wins. Why does the house always win? Because they control and they stack probability in their favor. That's what we're going to essentially do as options traders. We're going to learn to shift probability to us. We're going to learn to stack the odds in our favor. And the way you do that is by being an option seller and not a buyer. So again, make a note of this. In order to control your returns and your results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the first step of this is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He had said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our basic trading system. He's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. It takes him no more than about 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call option. Well, why do you buy a call? Because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do, right? If you think a stock is going to go up, you buy a call. A call gives you the right to own the stock at a later date and at a certain price. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up or it doesn't go up enough, and that call you bought ends up expiring worthless. Has it ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem that's causing you to lose? And if you ask, most people feel they picked maybe the wrong stock, maybe it was the wrong strike price, or maybe it was the wrong expiration date. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how we put probability on our side. This is how you win, even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade would give you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having that buyer's mentality, we are going to have a seller's mentality. So instead of just hoping the stock goes up, we're going to set up the trade using probability. Now, probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock just to go in our direction, we're going to pick a price. In this case, we think the stock will go up. We're going to pick a price below the stock price that says, as long as we stay above this, we can put a trade together that makes money. So think about that, right? You think the stock is going to go up. You pick a price below the stock. If the stock goes up, you're profitable. But now if the stock goes sideways, you're still profitable. Even it come down a little bit and you're still profitable. So right from the very beginning, we're going to set probability in our favor. And in some cases, we can even extend that out even more. We can choose lower prices. That gives you a bigger area where you can be right. And we do a lot of trades that actually start off with a 70% chance of success. And you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. And this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on the direction. Now, if you remember Bruce, he continues to trade with us every week. In fact, he was in my coaching this week. He posted in our private group and said, another day trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That is a great picture of financial freedom. Now, Mike is another one of my clients who dabbled with options, but originally said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Mike was like my worst case scenario when I started thinking about options back when I started trading. Could you imagine how frustrating it would be to lose on each of your trades? Well, eventually he gave that up and stopped doing it, of course. He went back to the books. He learned more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system being an option seller, and he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. The key lesson is going from buyer or gambler to seller or the house. That's what turned his situation around. And he even sent me some of his results from his original trades. Now, take a look at a couple things. Number one, work days to close, right? That's how many days he was in the trade. These are trading days 7 days, 5 days, 4 days, 2 days, 7 days. These are all trades that appear over the course of about 7 to 10 days. Okay. There are some shorter ones in there too, but generally 7 to 10 days. Profits, he's pulling in about 1,100 bucks in profits. His losses very relatively small. This one was something a little bit different. I actually remember that trade for him, but this one is when he kind of transitioned into just doing the S&P. But take a look at the average here. He's pulling in about 1,000 bucks every 7 to 10 days. And what Mike started with, and what a lot of my clients start with, they start by trading the indexes, the S&P 500. That involves only one trade a week. And the average gain on that has been 2.3% per month over the last decade. Okay? It's a system that's consistent. You're not just learning how to trade options, you're creating a future where your income grows without adding hours to your day. Okay? You're not going to be looking here for one big home run trade to become a millionaire. Okay? That's not what we're doing here. We're going to be growing our account steadily each year. And that's really one of the key takeaways. There's going to be a few takeaways from today. That's one of them. Those home run trades, they look good on advertisements, but it's the singles, it's getting on base. That's where all the runs are scored. These singles are what can enable you to never run out of money and to do the things that you want to do. Now, you've seen simply by flipping from the buyer to the seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the three most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. So option buyers, one of the first things they do is they choose unrealistic strikes. They choose option strikes that are so far away the stock has very little chance of hitting it. For example, let's say you want to go bullish on this stock. It's $217 a share. Well, what you should do is you should buy an option right near the stock price. But those can be very expensive. So what a lot of people do is they're like, oh, how about I just buy a call way up here at 230? I mean, it's only going to cost me 150 bucks. Why don't I just buy it there? Well, the reason you don't buy it there is because now you're not going to make any money on that trade unless the stock goes up $17 or $18 a share. You're putting yourself way behind the eight ball here. Now, people do this because they treat options like lottery tickets. And like a lottery ticket, most of the time they lose. Now, we're going to do that, treat that mistake, and we're going to find those options, and we're going to be the ones who sells it to those buyers. When we sell these options, they have a high probability of losing on the trade. But we have a high probability of winning on the trade. Okay? Their high probability is losing money. Ours is making money. Now, the same goes for puts. There's people who buy puts way below the market price. Okay? Maybe they think the stock is going to go down. They're looking for a cheap lottery play. Or maybe they even own the stock and they just want some insurance on it. Listen, it doesn't matter why. We're going to be the ones to sell them those options. Because when we sell those options, it's going to give us a 60 to 90% of probability of success right from the very start of the trade. Now, another mistake that option buyers make is they buy their expirations too close. It's like when you go in and buy a steak at the grocery store, right? If you see one for 50% off, usually it's because it expires the next day. So you got to take it home and cook it right away. That's why it's so cheap. Options are the same way. A lot of those cheap options are either out of the money, or if you see way down here in the lower right-hand corner, they're very close to expiration. What happens is options decay value every day until they expire. And that value, you can see up here at about 6 months to expiration, the option's losing its value very slowly. And then as you get to about 45 days away, you can see that the decay picks up exponentially. This is where a lot of option buyers buy options at because they're cheaper, right? You're not paying for all that time. All that time is gone. But the problem is when you buy in that window down there, okay, the options are decaying in value very quickly. So even if you're right on the trade and the stock goes in your direction, the premium is slowly and slowly dying. So what we want to do is we want to sell options in that 45-day window. Now, specifically, when we do this on a stock, we're going to sell options 21 to 45 days away. That's our sweet spot. Enough premium to give us a good return, enough time decay, enough monetary risk. We're going to keep it in that 21 to 45 days. That's the sweet spot of where we're going to sell an option. Now, to put this a little bit different, this is Home Depot. Let's say you're bullish on Home Depot. You go out, you buy an option a month and a half away. But remember, you're in that final month and a half of time decay. The option's losing its value every day. If I bought something for $1,000 and it loses $50 a day on average, I'm slowly losing all of the value of that, right? It's like buying a new car and seeing that depreciation hit off right in the first couple of months. We don't want that to happen, okay? We're going to buy the used car 3 years older where the depreciation has happened, okay? We're not going to do that anymore. That's what we don't want to have happen, right? Now, as a seller, this decay works in your favor. You're the seller. You're like the car dealer. You're going to sell that car for MSRP. And then 4 months later, when the customer comes back and is like, you know what, I really don't like this car. It's going to decay in value so much, you're going to buy it back for next to nothing. That's how option selling works. Okay? That's the beauty of it. And listen, there's always going to be people out there buying options that have expiration dates too close. Let them do it. They need the seller. They need the house. We will be the house. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me kind of explain this. And this is one that a lot of people don't know. Here's two examples of options. The stocks are about the same price. You got 76.24, 76.36. That's like 12 cents difference, right? Even though the stocks are the same price, look at the premiums. Over on the left, that option has $9.10 premium. That means if you buy a call, it's going to cost you $910. Over on the right, it's going to cost you $180. Okay? Why is the one on the left more than 4 times more expensive than the one on the left? Or the one on the right, pardon me. Left expensive, right cheaper. The magic of live presentations when you stumble over your words occasionally. Anywho, why is that one on the left so much more expensive? It's because the one on the left has extremely high volatility. When volatility is as high as it is, that gets the premiums very, very expensive. Now, buyers who buy those expensive premiums are paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? Who cares? I got $100,000 in my trading account, $900 is no big deal. It's not about the money. It's about what the expensive premium does to your trade. Let's pretend both stocks go up $8 a share, okay? From roughly 76 to 84, $8 a share. What happens to the value of the options in each of those scenarios? Well, that expensive option on the left, you actually lost money on the trade. Went up $8 and you lost money. See that red? You never, even though as the stock was slowly going up towards expiration, you were never in profits ever. Now the one on the right, that thing started going up right away also, but look at the green. You're making money right away. You made like 4 times the option value on the one on the right, but on the one on the left, you lost money because that option was expensive and the premium was too much. Now, this is all about taking advantage of mistakes that buyers make. So what we're going to do is we're going to seek out those expensive premiums like that, and we are going to sell them. When we sell those expensive, overpriced premiums, we can increase our profits and, most importantly, decrease our monetary risk on the trade. We're going to help stack probability even more on our side in this case. Now, another one of our clients is Bob, and he had one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times from his trading before. In his own words, he said he came close to living under a bridge. He learned the options paycheck system, and he turned his situation around in about 4 months. He said he learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategies that controlled and stacked probability in his favor. So in 4 months, he grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. So remember, if you want to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. So let me ask you, in the chat window, share with me, have any of you ever made those buyer's mistakes before? Just give me a yes or no. You don't have to tell me which one, just a yes or no. I have. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like options. Didn't know any better. So yeah, I see yes. Steve, Clayton, Charles, Bruce, Josh. Listen, we've all made those mistakes. We were just taught a broken system of options trading. So by now, hopefully you're seeing the benefit of being an option seller and you're going to avoid and capitalize on those common mistakes that buyers make. So now what we need to do is we need to turn to the risk portion. We need to learn how to trade this with very little risk because a lot of people, when they hear the word options and especially the term selling options, they immediately think it's risky. But with the options paycheck system, we use a low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? It's because most people who don't do this correctly aren't preserving their capital. They have one bad trade wipe out the gains from a bunch of winners. And when that happens, it's really hard to recover your losses. But when you do this right, with the right system in place, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. When you can select stocks and set your trades up in a way that reduces risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. And one of the most common questions I get is, can I trade this from an IRA? Well, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. He had said he had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. In 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades, more than double the size of his IRA, and he said he spent no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk even before we open the trade. First, it starts with the stocks. We're going to choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria in place, but in general, if we're bullish, we are looking for stocks that kind of look like this, right? Moving from the lower left to upper right. Stocks that are already rising in price. Now, instead of selling options naked, we are going to sell them with protection. So let's talk about this. Now, again, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. Okay? It's essentially a high risk trading opportunity. What we're going to do is we're going to shrink the risk to this. So let me show you how this works. This is, again, a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph. It's understandable why you want to be bullish on this. Now, traditionally, people would go out and buy the stock here, right? That's the current price. Or maybe they would buy a call using the current stock price as a guide for their strike price. Whatever. We're not the buyer anymore, so we're not going to do that. Here's what we're going to do. When we think a stock is going to go up, we are going to go underneath the stock price and we are going to sell a put. Now, when you sell that put, you're going to receive premium. You're going to get paid $200 per contract. Okay? So if you did 10 contracts, you would get paid $2,000 on this trade. Now, when we sell an option, it's kind of like when you sell short a stock, right? When you sell short a stock, at some point you have to cover that position. You don't just sell stock that you don't own and kind of go on with your life, right? There's an obligation. There's a trade that's going on here. That trade is going to go up in price, down in price every day until you cover the position, right? Now, the bad side of selling that put is if the stock goes down too far, you could lose 10, 15 times your maximum profit. That's terrible. We can't have that happen. Okay? The enemy of any income trader is losses that far exceed their gains. Can't have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some built-in protection here. And we're going to limit our risk to just this right here. Okay? What we're going to do in the same transaction, we are going to buy a put as insurance. All right? Now, that insurance contract costs me money, like all insurance does. But the cool thing is, when I sell the put, I'm going to get paid $200. In this example, when I buy the put as insurance, I'm going to have to pay $100. That leaves me with a net credit of $100. You actually get paid to place the trade. If I did this on 10 contracts, now I can make $1,000 on this trade. Okay? Now, what did that do for us? it created a trading scenario to where if we think the stock will go up, we make money. The stock goes sideways, we make money. The stock can go down, and we still have room to make money. In fact, I'll give you a little tip. We sold, in this case, the 135. If the stock were to fall below 135, we would exit the trade and walk away from that. Okay? Now, here's what I want to do. I want to give you kind of more of a practical approach to this. I want to show you some trades or a couple of trades that I did over the last year or two that, kind of set an example for this. So I'm going to be giving you some numbers now, so pay attention. But in general, when the market is bullish, we're going to be placing bullish income trades. Sorry about that. I had a screen pop up there. So, and here's a little tip for you. When we sell our options, we're going to pick the one that gives us at least a 60% probability of winning. So I want you to think about some of the little things I've said so far. We want to try to find overpriced expensive options, right? We're selling options 21 to 45 days away, and we're going to find options that give us at least a 60% chance of winning. Let's do it. This is a trade from back in May of 2025. DRI, it's in an uptrend. Okay, moving from lower left to upper right, got a nice little breakout that day. I'm interested in this stock. It's trading for about $203 a share. So I go out to my broker, right? And all brokers have this information. It's nothing proprietary. It's just probabilities based on the stock's movement. What I'm going to do, I'm going to look for a put that's 21 to 45 days away in expiration. Okay, right here. Then I'm going to go look at the put prices, the strike prices, and their associated probabilities. So if I went out there and sold this guy right here at $200, that gives me a 55% chance of staying above that price to expiration. Now, the cool thing is I only need to stay above there for about 2 weeks typically. But if I sell a $200 put, there's a 55% chance we stay above that price. The stock's trading at 203. If I go down to B, that's 195. Now I'm giving myself a 65% chance of winning. Why? Because again, the stock can go up, it can go sideways, or it can go down. It just has to stay above that level right there. Now, if I go down to C, all the way down here at 185, that gives me an 80% chance of winning because the stock can go up, it can go sideways, or oh my gosh, it can go all the way down to here and I still make money. That's ridiculous. Now, let me ask you this. Without knowing anything else about selling options, if I was just to come to you with probability, what would you say? What kind of trade would you want to take? Would you want to take a trade that gives you a 55% chance of winning, a 64% chance of winning, or an 80% chance of winning? Be honest. You don't know anything else about options, right? What do you think? Right. You'd want to be 80% right. Absolutely. 80%. 80%. I see Janice and Doreen and Rob and Brian and Bruce and Clayton and Josh and Steve. Exactly. You want to be 80% right. But here's the thing. Like all trades, like all things in the world, too much of one thing can be bad also. I always use the analogy of, they're supposed to be healthy to drink a glass of red wine every day. But if I drank 4 bottles of wine every day, my liver's probably going to explode. It's healthy to drink eight ounce glasses of water a day. But if I drank 30 of them, I'm probably going to have health problems. It's probably going to kill me. Probability is good within reason. Because I'll give you the ugly details of this. What good is being 80% right if on a winning trade you make $100, but on the loser you lose $1,000? That's not good. You do this right 8 times, you're going to make $800. You lose twice, you're going to lose $2,000. One bad trade wiped out all of your winners. Too much probability is not good. So what we want to do is find that sweet spot. And that sweet spot is typically in the 60 to 70% range. This has a 64% probability of working for us at 195. So that is the trade that I do. Now, In this trade, I sold it. I sold a 195 put, and then I bought as my insurance a 190 put. This is called a bull put spread. A bull put spread. Okay? Bullish because it's something you do when the market's bullish. Puts because we use puts. And spread because we have $5 difference between those two options. Okay? Now, the market went up. And the good idea here is I made about $712 in 2 weeks. The stock went up a little bit. It went down. Then it came right back up. And it didn't matter because I was still in the winning area. All it had to do was stay up above here. Okay? Now, to put this in perspective, I trade $100,000 in capital. My goal is to make around $750 per trade. And actually, if you saw that thing that popped up before, this is the spreadsheet of all the trades that I've done this year. So I was kind of looking on my trades, and DRI was actually right here back on May 12th. Before my commissions, I made $744 on that trade. If you see it right here, there's a lot of trades on this list. I get that. I made $744 on that trade. It's a pretty good trade. Okay, pretty good trade. So if you have a $100,000 account, I'd be looking to make about $750. Well, Ron, I only have a $50,000 account. Would I make $750? No, you'd make more like $375. Okay, you just do the number of contracts it gets you to make that certain amount of money. All right, now we can do this in bearish markets as well. We haven't had any bearish markets since earlier this year, but when the market turns bearish, we look for stocks that are moving down, like Target was last year. Okay, Target up here, moving down. Ugly stock, right? Well, I think that this thing's going to continue moving down. So I do almost the same approach. I go out there, 21 to 45 days, find my expiration. But now, since I think the stock is going to go down, I need to pick options above to give myself a little bit of room to be wrong. So I go out to my option chain, and I see that if I sell a 135, that gives me a 64% chance of winning. That means the stock can go sideways or even up a little bit, okay? And guess what? I would get stopped out of the trade and take a small loss. I can go up to B at 140 and give myself a 76% probability. Or I can go all the way up to 145, which is all the way up here, and give myself an 85%. Well, the one thing I think we've all learned is that too much probability is bad, so we're probably not going to go there. That leaves us with a 64% and a 76% option. Let me ask you a question. Which one would you guys pick here, knowing what we know now? All right, I see most of you picking C. Well, for those of you that pick C, you are absolutely right. That is a great option to pick. It's 64% probability. It's right in the zone. However, this one, I chose 76%. And the reason why I chose 76% is, remember I told you earlier when options are really, really expensive, you can stack probability a little bit more? This option happened to be very, very expensive at the time. So I was actually able to go out there and sell a little bit more probability. I had a trade that statistically was going to win 76% of the time. Now, this trade's a little bit different, okay? Remember, I'm going above the price of the stock because I want to create that zone where I can make money. So in this case, I sold a 140 call and I bought as protection a 145 call. This is called the bear call spread. Both are done as one trade. Bearish because you're bearish on the stock, calls because we use calls, and spread because we have that $5 difference between the strike prices. This trade went down in about 7 days and actually didn't really even go down that far. It actually kind of went sideways for the most part. Then one day it kind of went down a little bit, and then that thing kind of edged itself out and made 765. Remember, my goal is to make about $750 on a winning trade with my 100K in capital. Okay, so again, if you have 10,000, 75 bucks. If you have 50,000, 375 on a trade like that. All right. Remember, I told you earlier, right? It's not about getting rich quick. It's about hitting singles, base hits, getting on base, low risk trading. Okay. Now listen, if you don't understand all the mechanics of this right now, it's not that big of a deal. All right. We're going to teach you that. Now, some of you are asking, well, Ron, what about the risk? Well, let me show you some risk breakdowns here. One of the cool things that you get with my education, by the way, is you get this spreadsheet where you can monitor all your trades. And I'm going to go over here to the right, and this is the breakdown of my trades for the year. These are my stock trades for the year. Okay. And actually, I really need to add a couple more wins to this. I got stopped out of 2 more trades today. Actually, is this one even? This one's not quite up to date, but that's okay. It's close enough for this. I got some more wins in there since then. But I want you to take a look at this. I told you earlier that my winning percentage this year is a little bit lower than I would like. I'm kind of bummed about that. But the market's been volatile this year. We've had tariffs and all kinds of stuff. We've had some volatility this year. So my win rate's a little bit lower. All right. I've had 49 winning trades, 37 losing trades. I've had my average win of $740 and an average loss of $698. So even when I lose, I'm losing small money. All right. I trade the indexes as well. And you can see over here, that same idea, right? My accuracy this year has been not exactly what I like it to be because we've had some volatility. 19 wins, 17 losses, only 52% right this year. But my average win, 1,500, my average loss, 1,300. And I'm still profitable for the year. Okay? That is the beauty of doing this. When you do it right, you're going to make money. And when I'm back to 70% profit, I'm already up 21% for the year. But when I'm back up to 65, 70% right, it's going to go through the roof. That's the beauty of this. Now, Jim, he's another client I worked with. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent. He felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way? There's something better out there? Jim said he wanted to find a way to supplement what he was doing, but would provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. Now, you're seeing guys that break off 20, 21 winners in a row. That hasn't happened this year, okay? Because again, the market's been a little more volatile this year, but it doesn't matter. We're still up. We're still making good money this year, right? He said he had 21 winners in a row at one point, 76% return in 8 months, average trade 8 days. Can you imagine how, you go from inconsistent to where you rat that off? Now ask yourself, what would this do in your portfolio if you could duplicate that? Not even the mentioning 21 winning trades in a row. Even if you could, duplicate my substandard 58% accuracy this year and 21% gain. Okay? And I'm unhappy with my results, just so you guys know. But I'm still showing them because they're the trades. The trades are the trades, But what would that allow you to do? Retire earlier? Do something a little extra? Get a nicer car? Help the grandkids out? Help your kids out with stuff? All kinds of opportunities opened up. And again, it all goes back to that strategic shift. We said before, buying is gambling, selling is about controlling risk, putting the odds of success in your favor. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. I even showed you my average winner 750, my average loser 700 with good probability. It all goes back to whether you want to be the gambler or the casino. Because keep in mind, the house always wins. Okay? Now, I want to put this together and show you how you can do this with a bulletproof system that you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. And the students I've taught who've implemented this have told me this is one of the most important things they learned. Because the biggest question I get is, well, Ron, how much time is it going to take me? It's a great question. Well, there's a challenge here. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if it goes against you? When do you get out? And with all that in mind, you're like, this has got to be like finding a needle in a haystack. There's so much information out there. You don't know where to look. It can take you hours to put together a trade, or you're going from guru to guru. You're watching CNBC, you're watching Fox Business News, you're reading the IBD, you're reading Fortune, whatever magazines, right? Without a plan, you're trading blindly. It's like a mouse running through the maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. With the right system, though, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, if you think you're too busy, remember, time is the most valuable asset you have. This requires just 15 minutes a day. It's designed to give you back control of your time and money. Imagine what you could do with the freedom of that provides. Now, to get to that point, though, you need a system, and not just any system, a straight line system, A really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find your trades, how to set them up, how to manage them. So let me walk you through the steps of the options paycheck system. The first step is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this. They go out and just start placing trades. But you're going to be placing trades that are either bullish when the market's bullish or bearish when the market is bearish. Okay? So you got to have a way to know the market's direction. All right? Today, I showed you an example of a bullish and I showed you an example of a bearish. Right now, we're in a bullish market for the most part. So we'll be doing bullish trades. Now, by doing this, again, you're narrowing your focus. And we have a timing signal built in that we use to tell us this market direction. Once we know the market direction, we start picking out our stocks. You don't want to just choose stocks that you know. You want to find stocks that are moving in the same direction of the market. That means finding good stocks that are already going up when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market is falling. We save a lot of time in two ways. We use two things, fundamentals, and we use price trends, graphs essentially. We have pre-built searches in our VectorVest platform, which you can use. That way you don't have to dig through all that data that institutions throw at you. Now, once you have a list of stocks, you're going to want a way to select the best ones for option trading. Remember earlier we talked about volatility and how that helps? Well, we also avoid stocks that have upcoming earnings because the stocks can go all over the place with no explanation. And we also want to make sure our expiration is in that 21 to 45 day sweet spot. Now, you can use brokers for this. We happen to have a search tool that we built for this that takes you just a couple of seconds to get these results. Now you got to set up your trade. You got to pick the one that has the highest amount of probability that you can handle based on the strikes, kind of like what we did for Darden and Target. Keeping in mind, we have to keep the risk reward manageable. We can't have a trade that's 80% right, but it's going to lose 20 winning trades when it goes wrong. We can't do that. Okay? Now that you got your trade, before you actually put it through, we got to take care of what happens if it goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. These can be set up in advance to your broker. If a trade goes against you, there's an adjustment strategy that you can use. You don't have to. That can bring in a little bit more income to minimize your loss. And you also know exactly when to exit your trades. We can set those orders up in advance with our broker. That way it happens automatically. And lastly, a way to do it quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. You need a tool that allows you to do these things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Some brokers have much better option tools than others. I happen to like Thinkorswim. It's been my favorite platform for years. You know, E-Trade, IB, TradeStation, Tasty Trade, these are all great platforms. So some brokers are a little bit better. We use our proprietary tools from VectorVest called Options Pro, and that saves me a lot of time. Now, speaking of time, Hugh told me that one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked because he didn't have that proper balance between his trading and his free time. He didn't have what, a lot of people say is a proper work-life balance. Are you like that? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he has more confidence, more free time, and he's able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over 26 grand in 4 months. So I've got an exercise for you. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're really good at. So if you have a good way to find stocks that are going in the direction of the market, put a star by market direction in Stock Finder. If there's an area where you don't need a little bit of work, maybe you've done options before, you kind of get the idea, but you're losing too much money. Maybe you have a trade management problem. Maybe you just don't know how to trade options, so you have a problem with option selection, trade step, and management. Just give yourself a star or a frown where you're good and where you need some work. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds, and then we'll talk about the results. Now, I bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know this. So let me ask you, what areas do you need to work on? Share with me in the chat window. What are some of the areas that you need to work on? And I got to take a drink of water. That was nice. My throat was getting kind of dry. All right. Oops. All right. Trade setup, Linda. Trade management, Janice, Mahandra, all of them. Stock selection, Doreed. Option selection, Brian, Josh, stock picking and analyzing, stock selection. All right, so we got some mixed results. Now, that's okay because knowing where you need to put work is the first step of getting to the point where you're going to be successful at this. You need to have stars all the way down. Okay. Once you do that, you'll be able to do this like we talked about in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know your exact reasons for coming to today's webinar, but I'll make a few guesses here. Maybe you haven't really known what to do. You feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping from one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, but then you give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim said he did before he implemented the options paycheck system. Maybe you're going through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're ultimately just not where you want to be. Today, I showed you how you can fix that. And it's a secret again. I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know. Now you're one of them. You saw how it's possible to win even if you're wrong, how it can be done with very little risk. And I even showed you my trade results that showed you the minimal risk that it takes. It's less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system that's going to help you get consistent income every month. And I showed you a few of the many people who do this every day so they never have to worry about income again. You saw over and over that secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. You're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this. There's going to be 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who do the options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as they're out there, you may as well be the casino. Because remember the old saying? The house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor. Just like it taught Brian and Bruce and Bob and Jim and Hugh and John. So you've seen how the system works. You've heard from others just like you've achieved it. The question is no longer can it work, it's are you ready to make it work for you? So let me walk through how to get started today. So the question is, how do you implement this in your portfolio the quickest? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do nothing and stay where you are. If you already have enough money to retire and you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the options paycheck system. But if you would like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Option two is you can do it alone. Try to learn how option trades work, figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze thousands of stocks to find the best ones to trade. Hope you pick the right one, you manage it right. Listen, if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Option three, let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the paycheck system. In just a few weeks, you'll have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So ask yourself, what's going to be the easiest for you? There's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never takes action or does anything to make it happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about their future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that's going to make you the perfect candidate to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience, this is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using options. Even if you've never traded options before, this is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secrets to generating consistent income with options. We show you how to find the trade, how to set it up properly, and manage it. That way you can generate income safely and consistently in any market condition. That way you never have that fear of running out of money. So after you go through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you no longer have to fear options. You'll have clear signals telling you when to trade or when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates for your option trades. We're going to use a rule-based approach that's going to free up a lot of time. You're going to be able to set up an income trade that gives you a base level of 60% or better success rate. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place before you place the trade. That way you know your risk is perfect. You know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. We're going to help you confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, like whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. You're going to implement a system that helps you safely and consistently generate income. That way you can live the lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now the course is 8 modules long, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal. That's the complete system for consistent income. The first two modules, we call this the option income foundation. And a lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base it on a very weak foundation of knowledge. We understand what it's like to learn options. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's done this before. The outcome you're going to get from module one is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, so you can confidently use them in your trade. You'll know which terms to pay attention to in options, which you can ignore. That way you're not wasting your time or getting frustrated. In module two, you're going to learn the details of the spreads that we use. You're going to be filled with all the confidence you need to start using your spreads in this income system. Now that we got the foundation of options complete, we're going to lay out the step-by-step system to placing the income trades to generate those paychecks. And each step along the way here, we're stacking probability in your favor, and it reduces risk. It all starts when knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at everything, you're going to know whether to place bullish trades, bearish trades, or even when not to trade. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. That's going to stack probability even more in your favor. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probabilities. Now that you got your list of candidates, it's time to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trades and making it so you can make money even if the stock doesn't go anywhere. Module 6, we're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk by how we set up the trade. We're going to make sure your trade has that perfect combination of risk and reward by knowing exactly where to set your strike prices. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and setting them up correctly right from the very beginning. Now that you got your trade picked out, you're ready to go. Module 7 is going to teach you how to not only take profits, but to reduce your losses. You're not going to be frozen like the deer in headlights again. You're going to know, no matter what the market throws at you, how to react. That's going to allow you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you found the best stock, you got your low risk, high probability option trade, you mapped out your management game plan, it's time to place the trade. This is going to break down the trade execution into repeatable steps that you can commit to muscle memory. Now, if you're new, we also include a checklist. And you even saw a little snippet of my spreadsheet that I give you. That's going to have all of the rules in place. It does all of the math for you. That way you know how many contracts to trade, how many positions to have open. It's going to do everything for you. That way when you're starting out, you have that security blanket. If you're new to the broker side, I do give a little bit of help with brokers as well. I use thinkorswim, so I have some really great details of thinkorswim in their platform. I also have some videos for like Fidelity and E-Trade and IB. So we'll give you some video walkthroughs of several brokers. That way you can maybe help get your trades off a little quicker. Now, before I talk about the price, I want to make this low risk for you. We offer 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course, and if you don't think we taught you how to profit using options, you just got to notify us within a week of finishing the course. You get your money back. It's no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the live classes or watch the videos of the live classes. It doesn't matter. Do the assignments. We know if you do, you'll see the results. If you don't put the effort in by not watching the classes, you won't be eligible for a refund. And the reason I make the refund policy like this is because I only want to attract people that are ready to jump in, start doing the trades. So with the refund policy that says, hey, you actually have to do the course, hey, I get a lot more serious people. And remember, you're learning a system that has averaged 3% per month over the last 10 years. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. I want to share with you also another email I got from a client. Joe said, Ron, I'm writing to thank you for the options course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my result for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade I've traded so far, and I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 that I've taken, a 68% win rate. Profited over 100 grand in this time. What's more exciting is since my knowledge and experience have grown, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with 2 to 1 or better risk reward. I want to thank you again for teaching this simple but very effective system. Now, Joe trades a lot heavier than I do. I trade like 15 trades a month on average. Joe's trading about 30 trades per month on average. Okay? Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. Scale the system to how you want to do it. I trade 2 days a week. If you want to trade all 5 days a week, do it. The system scales nicely for that. Now, before I give you the details, I want to point something out one last time. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something we should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. This is going to require some effort on your part. It's serious. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this, you're ready to do the work and get the results, then the paycheck experience is perfect for you. Step-by-step training, go from option basics to a full complete income generating system. Just these 8 modules are worth the price of the course. But we've got some amazing bonuses for you today if you order. Bonus number 1 is called the Mastery Package. So as you saw, there's 8 modules. Now we're going to teach these modules via recording. So you're going to watch the recording on your own time of the modules. Then starting the last week of October, and I'll give you the schedule of all the live events here shortly, the last week of October, we're going to start doing mastery sessions. We're going to get together 2 times a week. We're going to go over the key principles of the modules. We'll answer your questions. We'll do the quizzes, the assignments with you, and just make sure that you have a grasp on the module. Then on Fridays, we have a Q&A. So you're going to get 3 times a week to meet with us live to discuss the modules. We have a private dedicated email that you can email, and you can use that email forever, not just during the course. I have people that took this course 9 years ago that still email me. It's fine. It's what I'm here for. We're also going to give you access to both VectorVest and Options Pro, starting with the first week of November, lasting through December. It's designed to give you a trial of our software through the live curriculum. Okay? Do you need the software? No, you don't. You could do this in a broker software as well, but we like to have you test drive, the search engines and things that we have to offer for you. Okay? Now, to make sure you're putting the trades on as fast as you can. Now, I don't mean fast as you can like you're doing the trades in 2 minutes. I mean like implementing this stuff quick. We're going to start teaching you after the modules are concluded. We're going to give you the implementation month. In the implementation month, you're going to get invited to my coaching events. I coach twice a week. I have an SPX session for S&P trading, and I have a stock trading selection. You're going to be able to piggyback on my trades if you want to, but that spreadsheet I showed you earlier with all my trades in it, those are all from those classes I give. We're also going to have live office hours twice a week, just more opportunities for us to repeat the process and build that muscle memory to creating more trading opportunities. Okay? Our past students said that this is one of their favorite parts of the course because we were implementing, we were finding, and we were practicing. It really helped them cement the concepts. Now, if you want to start with something simple, I'll include our SPX paycheck system. It's a 15-minute a week process. One symbol, one setup, one profit stop rule. It's on one thing. You can do this trade in as little as 15 minutes a week. And I showed you, it's been averaging almost 2.3% for the last 10 years. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter, and she was able to do the trades too. For a lot of my students, this is the only system they use, or they start with this. It's really simple. So as a recap, the Options Paycheck Training Program, it's got 8 training modules. We got videos for everything. We got checklists. We got cheat sheets. We got quizzes. We got slides. We got everything you need. The Mastery Package, the Implementation Month, the SPX Paycheck System, altogether about a $5,400 value. So here's the opportunity. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. So if you choose to be one of them, we're going to create that system in your portfolio even if you've never had success with options before. So if you want to work with me, have me take you by the hand and implement this, then we have an early bird price of $12.95. Now, because you've attended a live seminar with me, I do give you a little bit extra. I do it for $9.95. Now, you have to order this before the end of our webinar tonight, okay? You'll get the full course, 1 year access to all the course materials, the Mastery Package, the Implementation Month. You're going to get a subscription to VectorVest and Options Pro if you don't already have it, starting in November, going through December for $9.95. Once we finish tonight, the price will go back up to $12.95. And listen, $9.95, it's a value. We give you a ton for that $9.95, and we give you a money back guarantee. Ask yourself what it's going to cost you not to do this. How much money are you going to lose out by learning by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Think how your life would be different if you did it and it worked. This is a good time to do this. It's the end of 2025. We can get you up and running to start this in 2026. There's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago. Plant it now. That way you can be sitting under it right now. The second best time to do things is now. Do it now. Get started. Don't wait 10 years. Don't wait 20 years. Start it today. That way in 2026, you'll be a full-fledged income trader. Okay? This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action, set yourself up for a secure retirement? Or are you going to look back and say, dang it, I should have started? Don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss the opportunity. So again, if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before, it's $9.95. That's the lowest price you will ever see. If you've taken the course before, we do have a refresher rate. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But again, if you don't order it before the end of the webinar tonight, it goes back to $12.95. Okay? Go to optionspaycheck.com, sign up, secure your spot today. Once you register, you're going to get a welcome email and everything that you need to prepare. Now, speaking of that, I talked a little bit about how the class works. The class is done both live and via recording. So what happens if you miss one of our live sessions? Let's talk about that. I mentioned that the class formally starts the last week of October. So we got like another 2 weeks, but the class formally starts October 28th. We do a welcome session just to kind of make sure you know where everything is. On the 29th, we do our first mastery session for Module 1. The 30th at 4:30 Eastern Time, we do our mastery session for Module 2. And then on Friday, we do at noon p.m. our Q&A. Okay, or at noon Eastern Time, I meant. So right there. So if you sign up right now, you're going to get access to everything except the software. The software starts the first week in November because of the way that exchange agreements work. You don't need the software yet anyway. But sometime between now and when you sign up and that first week, watch Module 1 and watch Module 2. Then you can see the second week, we do Modules 3 and 4, then we do 5 and 6, then we do 7 and 8. So for 4 weeks, we're going to teach you the modules and master them. Then that 5th week, we're going to break into implementation, starting on Monday the 24th with our SPX 11 a.m. class and our Stocks 2 p.m. class. Then we have an office hours at 4:30. This will be a really good class for you because we're going to be placing trades after the market closes for the next day. I'll show you how to do that. And then we have another live one at noon on Friday. Now, all of these sessions are recorded. So you don't have to ever come to a live session if you don't want to. Do this on your own time. Then you can just watch the recordings after they're available. The recordings for the masteries and the Q&As and everything are available within 24 hours at the end of the live course. But, again, you can watch these via recording if you want to as well. So if you have to miss a week or something, no big deal. Everything is recorded. Now, in December, we're just going to continue on with our implementation. 11 a.m. for SPX on Mondays, 2 p.m. for our stock selections, and then continue with our office hours on Tuesdays and Fridays. Again, that's just going to be more time for us to get together and find trading opportunities to help cement the process. And just like everything else, all recorded, all available to you within 24 hours of the class. One of our more recent attendees, Greg, said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the Options Paycheck course, I feel better prepared to trade, much more confident. In my first month, I made a net of $10,200 from my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time when I saw it offered, and I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making the training program available. And if you're on the fence because you're not sure how much options experience you need, 85% of our course graduates said you could be successful with a little to no prior experience. If you know what a call is, if you know what a put is, that's really all you need to know. We'll take it from there. If you've never seen an option before in your life, and if I say, hey, what's a call? And you're like, I have no idea, then maybe you might want to start with something a little bit more simple. But if you know what a call is, know what a put is, you're in good shape. Just I want to end with some more of our clients who've done this. Cheryl, I've surpassed my expectation. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam says he made back the initial investment so many times over, even though it's a small part of his portfolio, the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. These are some of our more recent students. Neville said, thanks for the wonderful course. Within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual, already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 SPX trades. David said, this is the best course he's ever attended in all his years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Waleed said the course helps people like me develop self-confidence. If you have fears about options trading, you definitely need the course. Since the start of the course, I've done a few SPX trades with 19 wins, 12 losses, and a $5,700 gain. So again, go out there, optionspaycheck.com, get signed up. This is the lowest price you're going to get on the course. After the webinar ends tonight, it's going to go back to $12.95. Registration closes on October 28th at 10 a.m. Get yourself signed up right away. We're going to open up all the materials to you. You can start going through the materials as soon as tonight if you want to. That way, when we're ready for that last week of October, we will be ready to start the live portion. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to bring my colleague Steve in, and we'll do a Q&A. And if there's any leftover questions, we'll get to those.
All right. Nice job as always, Ron. And not only are you a terrific options teacher and all of that, you are an elite speed reader. that was good there towards the end. My goodness. Anyway, I want to step in here a little bit, give Ron a breather. He's been in overdrive here these last couple of days. And so we're just delighted that all of you took time out of your schedules to be here. It is worthwhile that you did that. If you're in any way interested in learning how to use options to generate this kind of income on a consistent basis, you're in the right place. We've never had anybody dissatisfied, to my knowledge. And, we would hope that trend would continue. And Ron's been hitting the cover off the ball again this year in what's been a pretty volatile and pretty tricky year, at the end of the day. And it's because we have an exact science as to how we do that. We know how to play market direction, put that on our side, even in this kind of turbulence. And then on top of that, really pinpoint the perfect trading opportunities for these spreads. And I got to tell you, Ron's system is very simple, yet very complete. And anybody can do this. Brian, who's one of our colleagues, I think Ron probably mentioned this in the webcast, but she's 14 and was placing these trades like a pro within, just a couple months time. So it's terrific. If you want, it's like anything. The only thing Ron and I can't do is like make you guys want to do it. So if you want to do it, then you can do it. It's really that simple. That's the only thing literally we cannot do is make you want it. We hope that you do. and it looks like many of you have already said you're going to be joining us. So that's great. That's always awesome to see. Just a couple things of housekeeping. I haven't seen a lot of these questions today, Ron, but I'm just going to go through some of that pricing you alluded to earlier. One, if you're elite, you get the $9.95 price at any time. So we usually have a good number of people in our, because we're very generous with our elite status, we usually have a number of you folks in attendance. So that's $9.95 for you anytime. Now, this next paycheck experience starts on October the 28th. So we would encourage you to get that done well before then. For the rest of you, time is of the essence. To get that $9.95 price, you really need to get it before the phone lines close today at the very latest. And that's going to be 6:30 Eastern New York City time. If you're somebody who has taken the options paycheck experience before, but for whatever reason, maybe life got in the way, whatever it could be, and you want to do a refresher, in other words, take the course again, just to make sure you recover all the bases and are ready to rock, that price is $4.95. We do ask that it's been at least a year since you took the options paycheck before. But assuming that's the case, it's $4.95. And you'd be good to go there on that front. Because we're coming up on the holiday season, I would say this, there's probably, some of you anyway, may not know exactly what your schedule might hold over these next 2 months with travel or what have you. Do not worry about things like missing a particular session or two. Everything is recorded. Everything's done live, but recorded. And you can literally take that content in at your own leisure, which is terrific. And the one thing I really love about this course, that separates it in my mind from a lot of the other courses that we teach here at VectorVest, is it's broken up into bite-sized chunks. It's very digestible. And, if you have to play catch up on a couple of modules, it's really not that much. So don't feel like if I get behind a couple, a session or two, I'm going to be stranded. You absolutely will not. And there's a lot of repetition built into the course. And you're going to see Ron do literally dozens of trades probably, or at least potential trades that he'll stack together before you're done with this experience. Ron, I don't know if there's anything you want to throw in on top of that, but I'll just let you kind of close things up as you see fit at this point.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, thank you for the I talk fast. I was
No, you're good. No, you're good.
Thank you. No, I'm gonna out my generation, although I've been trading for 28 years, so you kind of know that I what my age probably is, but it reminds me of those 80s commercials from Micro Machines. One of my favorite speed reading things, but yeah. But no, I'm
Yeah,
good.
I like turning you up to 2 times speed on the modules. That's a lot of fun.
Oh boy, yeah. I've never been one to say, I've never been told to speed up. Let's put it that way. I've been told to slow down a few times, but all good.
Hey, you
All
know
good.
what? You can do that on the modules too. You can put them to halftime speed.
You can. That's a good thing. I mean, and you can pause them, of course, which is best because a lot of people
Right.
always say, I can't follow along that fast. Well, put it in slow motion, put it in pause. That way, you can watch it as many times as you need to. So that's one of the great things about the recording, watching them too, is you get to do that. You can make it faster during times when it's not exciting and slower when you need to follow step by step. So another
Yeah.
good feature of having all those to you. All right. Well, let's go ahead. We'll wrap it up. Thank you, Steve, and thank you to all my colleagues in the background, and most importantly, thanks to you for attending with us tonight. We've done this now. We've been about an hour and what it's been like 20 minutes or so. So thank you again for attending. I know taking time out of your day is valuable, and I appreciate it spending it with me. So hope you learned something, and most importantly, I really hope that you decide to go forward with this. I really am looking forward to working with you in November and December, teaching you how to implement this, getting this going, and really preparing you for a good income potential going forward. So thanks once again, everybody. Have a great evening, and we'll see you hopefully at the end of the month for the live options paycheck experience. Take care.